morning, everybody. Thanks for being here with us. I'm Katie Earle. I coordinate our program, and I work for the Erie County Department of Senior Services, just like my colleague, Julie Ruszala. Thanks for being here, Julie.
Yes, thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Absolutely. We're glad you're here. So super quick housekeeping because we've got most of our regulars on. We're recording, try to post it on the website in the near future. You can type your questions and comments right in that good old Q&A panel. All right, so quickly we'll thank our sponsors, which is our Department of Senior Services, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Western New York, Excelsior Orthopedics, and Wegmans for all their support. And Senior Services is at 858-8526 if you need anything. All right, Julie is the fitness trainer and media specialist for our Department of Senior Services. She served in the U.S. Army and was stationed at Fort Richardson Army Base in Anchorage, Alaska. She was awarded the Command Sergeant Award, Major Award for excellence for her participation in the USAAK Winter Games. She earned an associate's degree with distinction in radiologic technology and a certificate in sonography from Trocare College. She received a bachelor's degree with honors in health promotion from the State University of New York College at Buffalo. Her athletic achievements include being selected to play in the Empire State Games for the Western women's hockey team, playing collegiate level hockey and soccer. She's been involved in coaching hockey, soccer, and running off ice dryland training programs. Fitness and staying active are in her DNA, and we're going to learn from her today. Thanks, Julie. It's all yours.
All right, thank you, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. It's my pleasure to talk about one of the biggest passions of my life that I've had ever since I was a young girl. And I'll just, Katie did a wonderful job with my background, but I'll just give you a wee bit more here. So, like she said, I started skating actually at age 4. Like I begged my parents, both my brothers played, so I would beg them to let me come to the rink and skate. So, I got all the used equipment, and that's what happened. At age 4, there I was skating at the rink, and then that's when everything started. So I played over 10 years with the Q Saints at the youth, and I actually got to play in the women's adult league that they had too. We played in Southern Canada, it's called Canada, the Horseshoe League, which was a lot of fun. And like Katie said, I played collegiate level at Buffalo State, was chosen for the Empire State Games, those were all wonderful experiences. I was assistant coach and off-ice trainer with the Q Saints youth hockey. I ran some adult learn to skate and adult hockey clinics. So I just love hockey. So any questions you guys have for me, I'd be happy to answer, and I'll just go ahead and get started here. And these are the topics that we're going to cover today. So this is Hockey 101, so I want to keep it pretty basic. I'm not sure what everybody's level is. This might be a little too basic, but you might discover that you learned something a little new, so you just never know. So this is what we're going to cover today, the zones. So when we say zones, you have a neutral zone, you have an attacking zone, and a defending zone. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to break each one down and talk to you about it. And I'll also talk about the goal line, your goal crease, your onsides versus offsides, your penalties and violations. I'm just going to go over, I picked a handful of them that we'll talk about. We'll talk about the penalty shots, your referee versus linesman. We've got your players positioning, what technically is a goal, what a hat trick is, what a natural hat trick is, what a playmaker is, what a shutout is. Yeah, I'll just talk to you about what equipment that you wear. We'll go over just NHL team logos and NHL awards and trophies. And again, if there's any other topics that you want to ask me, I'd be more than happy to answer those questions. So let's go ahead and get started here.
Hey, Julie, sorry.
Yeah.
You're a little more muffled now. I'm not sure if you move closer, if that like makes it a little better.
All right, is that better?
Kind of sounds about the same, but I
Really?
wonder, okay, so can you speak slower as it's coming over all garbled? Is you're speaking fast?
Oh, okay. Is this better?
I wonder, could we have you call in for your audio real quick? Do you have your
Yep.
phone with you if you do it on
Yep.
speaker?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, we were so good when we started. Thanks for being patient, everybody.
Okay, so just refresh me, Katie. Do I just hop on my app then? My WebEx app?
Nope, so bring your mouse all the way up that drops down your control panel.
Okay.
And then if you click on the circle with 3 dots, you should see switch audio connection.
Oh, I don't see the 3 circles. Up top, no, because it's camera settings.
That's okay. We can have you stop sharing and then we'll do it from the bottom and then you'll just reshare. That's okay. It'll take a second.
Okay.
Do you want me to take it away for you?
Yeah, it's giving me a hard time doing that. I'm trying to,
That's okay. I'll take it away.
you want to close it, yeah. Yeah. Doesn't want to go away, wants to stay with us.
I see that. Okay, that's all right. We'll figure it out.
Oh,
So,
switch audio, I'm sorry, here it is, okay.
oh, perfect.
We're using computer for audio, okay, so I'm gonna disconnect, oh, call in, so
Thanks for being patient with us, everybody. We'll get it figured out.
Can you hear me?
Yes, better.
Okay, way better? Okay, good. All right, sorry about that, guys. We are back up and running here. So we were talking about the neutral zone. All right, so the neutral zone is located in the middle of the ice between the two blue lines. So if you look at the screen here, you're going to see there's the two lines that they start at either side of the boards and they run the whole length of the width of the ice. The face-off circle is located in the middle of the neutral zone, and face-offs are conducted at the beginning of the game, after every goal, and at the start of each period. And that's where they will start right there in the neutral zone. So moving on here, now we have the defensive zone. So the defensive zone here is highlighted in yellow. So the defensive zone is the area of the ice where you defend your goal against the opposing offenses. So if you were in the defensive zone, your goalie would be in this net here, and your objective is to keep your opponent out of the zone as much as possible. And your goalie is the last line of defense and protects that area of the ice. So, and as you see, and then the neutral zone will always be the neutral zone, and depending on what, where the players are, it will become the defensive zone or the attacking zone, or they'll also call it the offensive zone. So I'll tell you now about the offensive zone, which is now highlighted in the pink over here. The offensive zone is at the end of the ice where the opposing team's goaltender is located. Once the offensive player with the puck crosses the blue line, this blue line here, they have entered the offensive zone, and this is where they will try to score a goal. So this is your offensive zone right there. So we're moving on. Now we'll talk about the goal line and the goal crease. Now your goal line is located at both ends of the ice and extends the entire width of the ice as well. And in order for a goal to count, the puck has to completely cross the goal line. If any part of the puck does not cross the line, the goal does not count. So it has to, if there's a little bit, they have a lot of cameras that are actually in the net and it's placed all around different areas of the ice. And they actually do extensive reviews sometimes to see if the puck totally crosses the line, because it has to go completely over the line. So just so you know, and the goal crease here is in the blue, and that sits right in front of each of those goal lines. It's outlined in blue, and only a goalie is allowed in the crease. So if a player goes in there, gets pushed in there, that usually a penalty is called for goalie interference. That's his little area that he gets to be in, he or she, I should say. Okay, moving right along, we are now talking about onside. So if you're the offensive player and you have the puck and you're going into the defending player's zone, to be considered onside, the puck must enter the offensive zone before any of the offensive players do. So if the player enters the puck before the player enters the zone before the puck does, the whistle will be blown and a face-off will be held at the closest face-off circle or dot on the ice. So typically here, in this diagram here, if that left winger was offside, because let's say the center has the puck here, the little C means center. So if the centerman has a puck and is controlling it, it has not crossed the blue line, and our left winger already crossed the line, then they're going to blow the whistle, and then you're going to have the face-off out here. So the easiest way, and actually my dad taught me this, and he used to be a coach, and he just says, when the puck goes out, you go out. When the puck goes in, you go in. So, and that's called clearing the zone. So hence, if the puck has not gone in the zone yet, you can't go in the zone. And if, say, the puck does go in the zone and you're onside, and you pass it back to your defensive man, and it comes back over, you have to come back out. So to keep it nice and simple, puck goes in, you go in, puck comes out, you come out. So I just thought that was kind of a neat way to remember it. So you don't get a penalty, but there's just a face-off. So in the face-off can be in your neutral zone at the closest spot where your offsides occur. So and here in this particular diagram, it would be that little circle right near where you see the LW, which is left wing. All right, so now I will talk a little bit more about your face-off circles and the dots that are on the ice. That's what all these little dots are. So there's a total of 5 face-off circles on the ice. You can count them out. You've got 2 in your offensive zone here. 2 are in the defensive zone, and now you can't tell from this picture, but typically in the NHL rank, the one in the middle is going to be larger, and they usually hold the NHL logo for the team. And nowadays they've got sponsorships that are also placed in the neutral zone. So that's what all the writing is on the ice. But keep going to talk about the dots. There's a total of 9 face-off dots on the ice, and the dots are where the puck is dropped. And like I said, so usually, depending on if there's a penalty or offsides, and wherever the violation is or wherever the occurrence took place, you drop it at the closest dot. That's, I think, the easiest way to explain that. And I'll get into that in a little bit. So Hockey 101. So here we go. Now we'll talk about some penalties. So when a player violates a rule, a penalty is assessed by the referee. So common penalties are hitting from behind, slashing, elbowing, hooking, holding, tripping, cross-checking, high-sticking, and fighting. And penalties, they can be categorized as minor, major, and you can also receive a game misconduct. You can also be suspended for X amount of games based on player safety. They actually have a person that looks over each infraction that may happen, and they can assess you anywhere from 1 game to 50 games or the whole season if they deem it necessary. But your minor penalties are 2 minutes, and your major penalties are 5 minutes. Fighting, you typically get 5 minutes to sit in the box, and then that's how that works out. Next, we'll talk about your penalty shot. So the penalty shot is awarded to a player when they lose a clear scoring opportunity on a breakaway because of a foul committed by the opposing player. The penalty shot is taken by the player who the foul is committed on. The player who is awarded the shot starts alone at center ice and skates in one-on-one with the opposing goalie. All the other players are on the bench and out of the way. The player only gets 1 chance. They can only shoot the puck once. And the odds that the player will score are 50-50. So it's always fun and exciting when there's a penalty shot called in a game. Okay, so referee and linesman, believe it or not, there's a difference between what they can do. The referee, so they all have the same striped shirts on here, but if you see, there's 2 referees, which are the gentleman in the middle here, and they've got these little orange, these nice tags in your sleeves. It goes all the way around your sleeves. Sometimes they're red, sometimes they're orange, but that just identifies them as being the ref. And the 2 gentlemen on the side, they are called linesmen. So I'll tell you what the difference is here. So the difference is the referee is responsible for the general supervision of the game. They drop the puck at the beginning of each period and after each goal is scored. And that's always at center ice in the neutral zone like we talked about. And the referee wears the white and black striped jersey with the red or orange armband, which we also just talked about. And the linesman's main responsibility is to watch for violations that involve the center or the blue line. So the neutral zone, the blue line, mainly icing and offsides, and they break up altercations that happen during the game. So there are 2 referees and 2 linesmen in a NHL game. So basically, they work the outsides of the ice, and they're the eyes of the referees for the stuff they can't see. So they'll get low, they'll break up as people start fighting. And if they see a penalty, they'll bring it to they'll circle up with the referee who ultimately calls the actual penalty. So they're just extra eyes for the referee. Okay. And here is just I know you can't really see a ton of them, but so every time there's a penalty called, they do these fancy little arm movements and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of them here, but I just wanted to kind of just show you a little picture of the different ones. So you've got boarding, misconduct, contact to the head, cross-checking. So that's all the funny little things that they do as what they're calling the penalty, holding the stick, spearing, so wash out, tripping. So that way, if you can't hear them, they use the signals to let people know what's going on. Because a lot of times, especially if it's a penalty that maybe the home team's fans do not like, they hear lots of boos. So this way, you can still know what's going on amongst all the boos for the referees. So moving on here. All right, so now we're going to talk about players' positioning when you're in the offensive zone. So to break it down like this, the offensive players consist of 3 players. We have a center, which is your little person in the middle here, a left wing, and a right wing. And the center here is responsible for taking the face-off, covering the middle of the rink at both ends of the ice. So if you want to think about it, if you just put a big oval kind of in the middle of the ice like there, that's like their main area. Now, it's not to say they can't go low in the corners and stuff like that, but they're just kind of like the quarterback of everything. Start setting up plays and always being open for the defense to try to get it out if you got to get it out through the middle. Because the wingers, they're responsible for along the board. So your left winger, typically this is their area of the ice. So if their defense is down here and they're trying to shoot it up, you need to be on the boards here to pop it out. Remember what we said, we always want to get it over this blue line because then the other team actually has to clear the zone. So the wingers, they're responsible along the boards on the side of the ice they're assigned to, and the main objective of the wingers is to score goals and support the centers and the defensemen. So when you're in the offensive zone, typically you want to score goals. When you're in a defensive zone, your ultimate, your objective is to get the puck out and support your defensemen as much as you can. And typically you're responsible for the other team's defenseman that you are closest to over here on this side. Okay, and now we'll move on to the defensive position. So defensemen play behind the forwards and are tasked with stopping the opposing forwards from scoring. They clear space out in front of the net, cover the corners, and move the puck out of the zone. That's when they're in their defensive zone. And the term, like stay-at-home defenseman, you might hear sometimes if you're listening to a hockey game, it's a style of play that refers to a player that stays in front of the net and defends the blue line even while they're in the offensive zone. So whereas a puck-moving defenseman, you might also hear they're known to rush the puck into the offensive zone and are more of a scoring threat. So basically, it's good to know what type of defenseman you're playing with, because if you're playing with a stay-home one as a winger or a center, you know that you don't really have to worry about them. You're not going to have to cover their position. However, if you get a defensive player that likes to move up, somebody has to drop back and cover the defensive position for him. So that's the difference. So that's just how you get to know it, and that's just kind of dynamics of a team. So you have to be careful, and as a winger, as a center, you have to be knowledgeable of who you're playing with and what their tendencies are in order to just make sure that the spot is still covered. So up here, I just put a little picture of Ray Bork because he's pretty impressive because he is the highest scoring defenseman in the NHL ever. The total number of points is 1,579, and I thought that was pretty impressive. So we're going to share that in his name. A lot of people still know his name after all these years of him being done playing. So like I talked about before, I just want to tell you what a goal is. So if you look over here to the right, this is an example of a good goal. See how you have the goal line here, and the puck has entirely crossed that line. You can clearly see white in between the red goal line and where the puck is here. So that is clearly a goal. Now over here on the left, no goal. So the puck is not entirely crossed that goal line. So you could still see, you could see it. I mean, it's obvious there on that one. But so to be an official goal in the NHL, the puck was completely entirely crossed, the goal line, and it has to be in between these two posts here, these two posts, and under this is the crossbar. So here's your post and here's your crossbar. It has to be, it can't hit there, it has to actually go underneath there. So each puck that crosses the line receives one tally on the scoreboard for your team. And yes, you can score on yourself. So therefore, if you are in the defensive zone and you happen to score on your own goal, it actually is a goal, not for your team, but for the other team. So just keep that in mind. That has happened more than once in professional sports, actually, too. It's on some bloopers, which are actually pretty funny. So moving on here, we're going to talk about a hat trick. So a hat trick in hockey is achieved when a player scores 3 goals in one game. So a hat trick is the rarest achievement, actually, and they occur only in 7.6% of games. When a hat trick is scored, the tradition is for the fans to throw the hat that they were wearing onto the ice to honor the player that has just scored. Oh, hang on, one minute. Let me just grab my notes here. This is actually a really neat story that I found. It's the story of that actually is credited from the Hall of Fame that credits the original origin of how the hat trick came about. So there has been actually a couple different stories of how the hat trick came about, but I kind of went with this one because this one is certified by the Hall of Fame. So this is written from Ontario in Toronto. So Chicago Blackhawks player Alex Fleta, he walked into a Toronto hat store during the 1946-1947 season. Fleta found a hat that he wanted, but he could not afford it. So Sammy Taft, the store owner, told Fleta that he could have the hat if he scored 3 goals on that game, January 26, 1946, versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Fleta didn't just score 3 goals; he actually scored 4. The Blackhawks did end up losing the game to the Maple Leafs, but that is the origin of how they say the hat trick came about. So getting a hat and scoring, so hence it kind of evolved into people. If you're at the game, you throw your hat onto the ice to show your to honor the person that scored the 3 goals. Now there's different things they do. Some players take the hat. Some of them they just keep at the rink. So there's depending on what rink you're at, they do different things. They've got different traditions of what they do with them. Now I'll talk to you about a natural hat trick. It's a little different than a normal hat trick. A natural hat trick is when a player scores 3 consecutive goals uninterrupted by any other player. So the quickest natural hat trick was scored by Bill Masianko of the Chicago Blackhawks in only 21 seconds. I thought that was pretty interesting. 21 seconds, I know, to score 3 goals. Yeah. So he deserves to be on the stage here. All right. Moving along, up next, we have it's called a playmaker. So this is a little patch that you get. So when you're playing youth hockey, you get little patches. You get little award ceremonies at the end of the year, and you get a little patch. So the playmaker is when you assist on 3 goals in a game. So a typical playmaker has the speed and balance to make plays and frequently relies on another player to put the puck in the net. So your typical playmakers are your wingers and stuff, and you just feed whoever's got the best shot. They do all the hard work and they feed it to you, and the goal scorer just pops in the net. So you have a lot to do with it. So hence you are the playmaker, and it's worthy of a patch at the end of the season. Shutout. So a shutout can only be given to a goalie, and a shutout is when a goaltender prevents any goals from entering the net the entire game. And the same goalie has to be in the net the entire game to receive the shutout. So Martin Brodeur, he's the NHL shutout leader with 125. And the closest goalie behind him, excuse me, is Terry Shawshuck with 103. So that's pretty impressive. You see the big gap. Now, I think a lot of that could be attributed to the New Jersey Devils. They are known to play a very defensive game, and they're very tight. So a lot of their games have very low scores, and they used to play something called the defensive trap. Now, I'm not really going to get into that, but that's basically a style of hockey where they pretty much suffocate the offense and make it really tough for them to even get into your defensive zone, to even shoot on your goalie. So perhaps that has helped Berger out a little bit, but it seemed to work for him with the 125. So I think that's worth noting. And you might have seen him actually on some car commercials. All right, so moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about equipment. So offensive and defensive players, they wear the same type of equipment, and typically they wear helmets. Now, and when you're in the NHL, you can wear a visor or not. It's your call. And a lot of people, most players do, and it's usually made out of just like a plastic, and it's clear, and it's about half. It goes onto their nose, but you don't have to. You can just wear a little helmet like this. Now, when you're growing up and playing in youth hockey, it's required to wear a cage, and it could either have the bars on it, they're called, or you can actually just have a clear mask. It's just whatever you prefer. I think a lot of people steer clear of the clear mask. It tends to fog up a lot, but some people don't mind it. Some people don't like the cages because they feel like it obstructs their vision. So really, it's just a personal, however you feel about it, personal feeling. Now, also when you're younger, well, most NHL players wear mouth guards. Neck guards are not required, but they are in youth hockey. You always have to wear a pair of gloves, shin pads, skates, protection. So it's called the jock. And for women, it's called the Jill. But it covers the same area. But it's just a fun little fact because they're made a little different. You've got your shorts. Now, these can come with underneath sometimes. You can have, there's like a layer that goes over so you can wear different colors, or this comes all in one piece. So depending on how it's kind of like a girdle, and it just has a bunch of padding underneath it. And sometimes it comes in a pant like this, or you might have a shell that's separate that goes over a girdle, but everything is built into this one here. You've got elbow pads and shoulder pads, and of course your stick. Now your player stick is going to be a little bit different. So you're either going to, and there's all different curves and all different things that you can do with the stick. I'm not going to get into all that because it gets pretty complicated, but it all boils down to the feel of the stick. Some people like a longer stick, some people like a shorter stick. Typically people tape the bottom of the sticks here. This is the heel of your stick, and that's the toe. So a lot of people sometimes tape the whole part all the way up starting from the heel to the toe. Some like just to the toe, like Ovechkin typically just does up to the toe, but like your Crosby, he'll do the whole stick. And then you also put a little bit of grip tape up top with a little tiny knob. Some people will put a little tape going on the whole shaft of the whole stick. So honestly, it's just whatever you prefer, whatever your preference is. Just moving on to the goalie, the goalie equipment is significantly different here, and you can tell starting with the stick here. So this is typically like what they call the paddle part of the stick. The goalie holds the stick right here, whether they are left or right-handed. They hold the stick with their blocker glove. So you see it on the side where it's pretty well protected. But on the other side of it, the glove, actually all the fingers are able to move and are protected. So that is what allows them to grab the stick right here. They call that the paddle there. And it's just a little bit fatter, so that helps down the shaft here. When you get down to the lower part here, that helps stopping pucks. So they wear a helmet. Typically, the helmets are a little bit different. They've got a little a neck. There's two different kinds. They could have the one that kind of hangs down, or they can wear a neck underneath it too. Again, that's kind of their preference. They have basically a catching mitt, and you could be either right or left-handed, just like a player. They have their own type of jocks as well. They've got knee guards, which are inside the pads that you don't see. They're kind of connected to the inner part of the pads. Because, I mean, people are shooting pucks at you, so it's crazy how they can hit you in any way, shape, or form, especially if you're not on center with the shot. If you're a little on an angle, they just have a funny way of finding the little parts that do not have padding. So they try to put as much padding on the goalie as possible, for obvious reasons there. And sometimes they can put like jock shorts on, so they're just kind of showing you that. And body armor, so it's the same as like shoulder pads as the skater over here. However, they're just a little more beefed up because obviously they're having pucks that are shot at them that could be up to 100 miles per hour or 100 plus. So, and then of course your jersey covers it, and then jersey covers the offensive, defensive players as well. And they also wear like a nice little like knit. I don't want to call it knit stocking, but it's something that covers the shin pads so you don't see it, and everybody looks uniform on the ice. So we'll move in. We just call them hockey socks. So this is just a little picture of all the NHL teams right now. So currently, these are all the logos. So currently, the NHL has 31 teams. Starting next season, a new team called the Seattle Kraken will make 32 teams. So I don't have the logo on that one, but that just might be something you want. If you're watching hockey next season, starting in the 2021-2022 season, you're going to find a new team out of Seattle. So that's something to look forward to. Now, here we go. This is one of my favorite parts of hockey, too, is all the neat little hardware and all the little stories behind all the trophies that are awarded each year. Now, I didn't do every single one. I did a bunch of them because there was actually quite a few trophies, but it's always fun to win hardware. So I'm just going to break down each trophy and how it came about and what it is. So here we go. This is what they call the Holy Grail. This is Lord Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup was first awarded to the playoff champion in the 1926-1927 season. So in order to win the Stanley Cup, you must win 4 best-of-7 series. So that's a lot of hockey. So it's considered to be the most challenging or most rewarding trophy to win in all of sports. Only because you have to win as a team, and it's not just one and done. I mean, there's potentially 28 hockey games that you could have to win in order to get the cup. If all your series go to the best of 7. So that's a lot of hockey. So to me, that's why it's the holy grail of hockey. So if you win the cup, I think it's really special. So a little bit more about the Stanley Cup. 11 teams have actually come short of winning the cup. And those teams are Arizona Coyotes, as we all know, the Buffalo Sabres. Hopefully we will be taken off that list sooner or later. Columbus, but we're not alone because as you see, there's 10 others. We've got Columbus Blue Jackets, Florida Panthers, Minnesota Wild, Nashville Predators, Ottawa Senators, Vancouver Canucks, Vegas Golden Knights, Winnipeg Jets, and obviously starting next season, Seattle Kraken. And I just want to let you know a little bit about the top 7 Stanley Cup winners, only because a lot of these franchises are storied and why they have fans that are so passionate. So this kind of just gives you a little bit of background as to maybe why they just still love their team. Starting, especially if you've been to a Sabres Montreal Canadiens game, then when they're fans, they definitely like to come over here and show their team spirit. They have won the most Stanley Cups of any team at 24, which I must admit is pretty impressive, yes. Followed next by another passionate fan base, you have your Toronto Maple Leafs, and they are second with 13 Stanley Cups. And break down the line, you have Detroit Red Wings third with 11 Stanley Cups, Boston Bruins with 6, Chicago Blackhawks 6, and then your Edmonton Oilers and Pittsburgh Penguins follow closely with 5 apiece. So that's just your top 7. So I didn't want to spend tons of time on that, but that's just where we'll end with that. All right, up next we have the President's Trophy. The President's Trophy is awarded to the team that finishes with the most points in the regular season. So out of the whole NHL, the team that has the most points, this is the trophy that you are awarded to. They're guaranteed, so when you get this trophy, you're guaranteed home ice advantage throughout the entire Stanley Cup playoffs. So what that means is you're gonna play your games at home, and if you make it to Game 7, you're gonna be at home. So you have like home field advantage, which is it's good, especially during the playoffs. So that's an honor to get that. So the little fun fact here is that 2 teams are tied for the most points. The trophy goes to the team with the most regulation wins during the regular season. So as you know now, you go to the overtime and shootout. So basically, if you can win the game without going to the overtime or shootout, that's called the regulation win game. Now they're both going to win column, but the ones that you win during the regular 3 20-minute periods, they hold more weight, is what that means. So the most recent team to win the President's Trophy and Stanley Cup together in the same year as the Chicago Blackhawks, and they did that in the 2012-2013 season. So just because you win the President's Trophy, it's not a given that you're going to win the cup. But and so it's kind of, it's not that it's rare, but it's not a given. But the last team to do it, like I said, was Chicago Blackhawks. So that means they were good all season and all the playoffs. So I think that means a lot. All right, moving on, we'll talk about the Prince of Wales Trophy. So His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales Trophy, was donated to the National Hockey League in actually 1924. The trophy has been presented to the playoff champion in the Eastern Conference Division since the 1993-1994 season. So you have your Eastern and Western Conference. So if you win at the top of the Eastern Conference, you're presented with the Prince of Wales Trophy. So Tampa Bay Lightning, they won the trophy for the past 2 seasons. So they won the Stanley Cup last year, and they're actually back 1 win away this year. But once we're at the beginning, before the playoffs start, you get awarded this cup. Now, there is some people do not, but there's a couple of theories about this, superstitions about touching the cup. Some people believe if you touch the cup, then that is bad luck. So each team decides what they're going to do. So sometimes if you're watching the ceremony, you will see them not touch the cup, and they'll just stand there, they'll take it, and everybody just kind of skates away from it. So it just depends on what the team decides to do. Moving right along here, we have the Clarence S. Campbell Bowl. So this trophy is in recognition of the services of Campbell, who was president of the NHL from 1946 to 1977. So the trophy is awarded to the playoff champion in the Western Conference. So as the Montreal Canadiens, they won this year, and that's actually who is in the Stanley Cup, the finals. We actually have Tampa Bay versus the Canadiens, so that's pretty neat. Moving right along here, we have your Conn Smythe Trophy. So this trophy was presented by Maple Leaf Gardens, limited to honor. Maple Leaf Gardens Limited, and it was to honor the Conn Smythe, who was the former coach, manager, president, and owner governor of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So he wore a lot of hats. The Conn Smythe Trophy is annually given to the most valuable player for his team during the playoffs. So Patrick Roy is the only player, or Waugh, that's if you're Canadian, call him Waugh. Patrick Waugh is the only player to win the trophy 3 times. He was also the youngest to win at age 20. So Bobby Orr, Bernie Parent, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, and Sidney Crosby all have won it twice. Moving along here on our trophies, you have your Hart Memorial Trophy. The Hart Trophy is named after David A. Hart, who's the father of Cecil Hart, a former manager, coach of the Montreal Canadiens. So the trophy is awarded to the player that is the most valuable to his team. So Wayne Gretzky has won the award 9 times. And 8 times in a row from 1980 to 1987, which is, that just speaks for itself right there. I have the goosebumps when I read that, because it's just so impressive, and I believe he's the greatest player. So it's worth to mention him. So moving on, we now have the Calder Trophy. The Calder Trophy, it started in 1936 when NHL president Frank Calder, he bought a trophy each year to be given permanently to an outstanding rookie. So the trophy is given to the player that is the most proficient in his first year of competition in the NHL. So the oldest player to win the award was 31-year-old Sergei Markov from Calgary Flames. Now you might wonder, how does a 31-year-old win this, basically like a rookie award? But basically he played over in the KHL in Russia. So he didn't come over to the National Hockey League to 31. So therefore that was how he was able to win the trophy, and he stands to be the oldest player to have won that trophy. Okay, so up next now we have the VEZINA Trophy. So this trophy is in memory of the Montreal Canadiens goaltender who collapsed during an NHL game, and he actually died a month later from TB. So the VEZINA Trophy is given to the goalkeeper who is best at his position. So, excuse me for his name here. So Josh Quant has won the most VEZINA trophies. He won it 7 times. So this is a fun fact too. Montreal Canadiens goaltenders have won it 29 times. So there comes a lot of your history from your Montreal Canadiens, and this is just a classic picture of he's obviously a really tough gentleman, And this is like an old school picture. These are the tiny little mats that the goaltenders used to wear, and their equipment was really small. So, and he's got a bandage on his nose. So yeah, so he won that 7 times. Pretty impressive. Moving on, here we have the James Norris Trophy here. This trophy was presented at the NHL in 1953 by the children of the late James Norris. He was the owner-president of the Detroit Red Wings. The award is given to the defensive player that demonstrates the greatest all-around ability. So Bobby Orr won the trophy 8 consecutive seasons. He was in the picture that I showed you earlier, and the winner of the 2021 trophy is New York Rangers' Adam Fox, and he's pictured here. On the left, we'll stay here. All right, moving on, we have the Art Ross Trophy. Ross, who the trophy was named after, he was a longtime manager coach of the Boston Bruins, and he presented the trophy in 1947. The trophy goes to the player who leads the NHL in scoring points at the end of the regular season. So the 2021 winner is your Edmonton Oilers' Connor McDavid, and this is the 3rd time he has won the award. Up next, we have your Frank J. Selke Trophy. This trophy was named after Frank J. Selke, former general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs and Montreal Canadiens. The trophy is awarded to the forward who best excels in the defensive aspects of the game. Only 2 players have won the trophy 4 times, and that's Patrice Bergeron and Bob Gainey. The 2021 winner was called Alexander Barkov of the Florida Panthers, and he is pictured here, as well as a picture of the trophy. All right, up next, we've got the Lady Byng Trophy. So Lady Byng, wife of Canada's governor, presented the trophy in 1925. The trophy is awarded to the players that exhibited the best type of sportsmanship and gentlemanly conduct combined with high standard of playing ability. So Frank Brochur of the New York Rangers won the trophy 7 times. And the 2021 winner was Jason Salvan from the Carolina Hurricanes. He's pictured here on the left. Last up here, we have the Jack Adams Award. So this trophy was first presented in 1974 to commemorate the late Jack Adams, longtime coach and general manager of the Detroit Red Wings. The trophy is awarded to the coach who contributed the most to the team's success. So Jack Demers is the only coach to win the award in consecutive years. So that is all the awards that I have for you guys. I thought that it was going to take me a little bit longer because there were so many, so I kind of left a little bit of open space here at the end. So if anybody has any questions that they want to ask about anything that maybe I left out or anything that they were perhaps curious about, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Julie. That was wonderful.
Well, you're very welcome. It was my pleasure. I hope everyone learned a little something about it or took a little something away from it.
I think they did. We have some questions and comments here that came in. Let's see. This first one I'm seeing is, what are the main differences between men's and women's hockey?
Oh, that's a great question, actually. Okay, so the biggest thing is hitting. You're not the females, the players. We can't hit each other. You can be aggressive, but you can't check. You can't check. So I think that would be and the speed of the game. I think that the guys they're just faster than the women, but those are the 2 biggest differences. But there's still great hockey, especially D1 hockey. Even D3 hockey for men's is a joy to watch. But those are the biggest differences. As far as penalties and all the rules are the same between the women's and the men. They play the same amount of time, and the time that you get a penalty and stuff, those are all the same.
Thank you. And then my own question, are the pads mostly the same too?
They are. I mean, people kind of modify them. It's kind of like, for women and men, or just in general? Oh, for women, yeah, because except for like you tell it the jock and the Jill, so the Jills can have just a little bigger coverage to cover our female areas, but the shoulder pads just go right over. They don't come in men's or women's. You just go to the store and you just put them on, and whatever fits you properly, whatever's most comfortable for you. is what you go with. Now, there's all different sizes, all different styles, so it's really just personal comfort and whatever your comfort level is with that certain. Some people say up to certain brands, just like clothes. So some have different characteristics to them. They might run smaller, bigger, just fit on you differently. So same with hockey pads, whatever your preference is. Some gloves are bulkier, some gloves are thinner, and that's just really the manufacturer. I always liked the Bauer gloves. I always thought those were nice. Yeah, and they come with leather. They come with like non-leather. Leather kind of like dries up and stuff like that. They look sharp, but I like more of the glossy type personally. But the leather I think looks sharper, but it depends what you want to do.
That makes sense. Thanks,
Yeah.
Julie.
So,
we
you're
have a
welcome.
comment. This person says, I miss watching the fights from back in the day.
I know, I do too. I don't like that they don't like them to fight. I think that was a great part of hockey that we're missing out on. I mean, if it's a legit reason to fight, because they just kind of police themselves, and there was no funny business, and you knew you would have to think twice before you did something because you knew that somebody was going to come over and let you know what they thought about it. Yeah, so I miss them too. I don't like when I think the referees and the linesmen get more abuse than some of the players. It's just by standing in front of everybody. So maybe I guess I'll never say never, but I don't know if it's ever coming back. But I mean, the thing I do like about it, it's definitely a lot faster. I feel like the game is it's definitely a lot faster than it ever used to be. And especially when they took out, they used to have the rule where you couldn't if you passed the puck over 2 lines, they would call it not a penalty, but it would be a whistle. But so that really opened the game up once they took away that rule. So I mean, you could shoot the puck further down the ice. Well, I should say though too, if you're not over the red line and you shoot it down, you will get icing. But if you're over that line, and so if you shoot it far and your player actually receives the pass that you shoot to them, then you're not. It doesn't matter that went over 2 lines. So that's where that rule got erased, and that really opened up the game a lot too. So so that's good.
Oh, thanks, Julie. This next is funny. It says, thank you for a great presentation. How long did it take you to learn all the hand signals for penalties?
I'm still a work in progress. They are fun though. They are fun to navigate through. That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that. That was good.
This next one is, can you take the goalie out anytime, or is it only at the end of the game?
That's a great question. No, you can. You can do whatever you want. You're right. They typically do it at the end of the game, and or you also see it sometimes at the end of the period if there's only a couple seconds left, and you're having to face off in the offensive zone. And, so by the time the puck, even if you lost the face-off, by the time the puck went to the net, the chances that it would go in and they'd score would be slim. But you having that extra forward up there could make or break. You could just get a quick, if you win the face-off, get a quick shot to the net and you get somebody in front and they can pop it in. But, yeah, you could do it. You could play the whole game without a goalie if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend it, but
It'd be pretty bold.
Like that, yeah, typically at the end of the game or maybe at the end of the period when there's just a short amount of time left and you want to throw an extra skater on the ice.
Okay, thanks, Julie. Just seeing one more thing here. So this is, can you explain a little bit about how the draft works?
Yeah, okay, so the draft, so basically it goes upon where you fall. So the Sabres, as you know, they finished last in the league. There's still only 31 teams, so they finished 31st. So what happens is usually, I don't know when, a couple years ago they started changing the rules a little bit. So if you finish last, you automatically got the first draft pick of the draft. But now they put you in. I think it's like at 17% now. So now, if you finish first, you might have like a 20%. I don't know my percentages because they honestly keep changing them. So you might get 20% if you're the team that finished 31st, and if you finish 30th, you might get, let's say, 15%. And so they kind of because they put a little ball in a container, we'll call it, and the chances of winning are based. That's how many balls that you have in this container. So and that's how the balls come out. So you essentially, and I think let's just say there's 15 teams that are there. So all the teams that don't make the playoffs, they're all in there, but on different levels as far as where they fell in the standings. So is how many balls that go into this little box that they have, and they shoot them out. So so it's basically just this percentage now. It's not guaranteed that you're going to get that first draft pick just because you ended last. Now you just get a percentage, and the worse you do. So the Sabres had the best percentage of getting that first pick this year, and they did, but that doesn't always happen. And it's a little complicated to see how they fall, because basically if somebody who's like way down in the draft kind of bumps up, it just switches the whole positions of it. But it's all about percentages is the easiest way to explain it without getting into crazy details. Because like I said, I don't know, I know enough about it, but not much to really go into much more detail, because honestly they kind of keep changing it every year for the past couple of years. So probably why you probably have a little questions about it.
I think that was the perfect amount of information, Julie. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
We'll just give it another second here to see if anything else rolls in, and I'm going to check with Claudette.
Okay.
Claudette, do you have any questions? Okay. All right. So I'm not seeing anything else other than thanks for a great presentation. Can't wait to watch my granddaughter play.
Oh, yay. Good.
Right.
I love it.
Thank you, Julie. That was wonderful.
Well, thank you so much. It was my pleasure. Anytime.
All right. Bye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.